Hello, my name is Phelps. I'm here to talk about what are vaccines and how they help us. I think we'll have a background information on vaccines because they're very prevalent in the modern world, but I'm here to just give some background information on it that you may or may not have known, such as the different types of vaccines. But vaccines, as described by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, are a preparation that is used to stimulate the body's immune response against diseases. Vaccines, in a sense, are trying to get protective immunity, in particular response from our body to protect against a disease called protective immunity. And that there are multiple different types of vaccines because not all vaccines will respond the same way. So having multiple different types of vaccines trying to get that protective immunity out is the reason why we have them. Whole virus vaccines are involve less powerful versions of the disease to help build up that protection. Live attenuated versions of vaccines use a weakened version of the disease, which still spreads out throughout the body, but is weakened to the point where it doesn't make the host sick. Inactivated vaccines use a virus whose material has been damaged or killed, where they can no longer spread, but they can still provide that desired response, that desired protective immunity. The reason why you would use live attenuated is, again, not all viruses will react in the same way. So some viruses will react positively to only live attenuated vaccines, while others may also work on both of them. So even though this one's inherently more dangerous because it uses a weakened version of the disease, it's still prevalent and still useful as far as giving it protection. Messenger RNA vaccines or mRNA vaccines, rather than using the disease, use proteins that still get that desired response. Research into the specific type of vaccine is on the rise because production for is faster than more traditional forms of vaccines, and since it does not use the disease, there isn't a chance of getting sick from the disease. It's also key in the production of the COVID-19 vaccine. Here is a list of all the different types of vaccines I didn't cover. The main thing to note is all of them do still have the main focus of trying to get that desired protective immunity. They just all get it through different methods. Producing vaccines is interesting because it takes about 12 to 36 months, and this is increased from multivalent vaccines. Multivalent vaccines care about multiple different strands of vaccines, or multiple different strands of the virus. The actual production of these vaccines, most of the time is spent during quality control. The idea is a lot of the time is spent, trying to make sure they follow every, safety concern with them, as well as packaging, as countries have multiple different packaging laws of this is the information that the user of the vaccine needs to know before receiving. So a lot of time is spent on it, and ethically, it's really important that a lot of time is spent on quality control because someone with a faulty batch whose desired effect of the vaccine is lowered because of a lower concentrate or a lower or the vaccine is not working as intended can faulty assume that they're protected against the virus. So they may never get the virus or never get the vaccine again. So they will think that they have a protection against something that they do not. So that's why it's important that when there's a faulty batch, it gets recalled and everyone's informed that, hey, I know you got the vaccine, but it's not as strong as you would have expected. We need you again other vaccines so you can be safe. That's why it's really important to have good quality control, and if there's a failure, to correct that immediately. Importance of vaccines, it's really hard to underestimate how strong these vaccines have been as far as us as a society, how much they've improved. Polio is nearly extinct now, across the world, to the point where we don't even give the polio vaccine anymore because of how little there is, how much the polio vaccine is associated. It's also severely reducing the impact of many other diseases that if there weren't vaccines, they would be a lot more prevalent. We have lived post and pre and post vaccine COVID and have seen the quality of life increase because of it. I think it's really hard to underestimate that personal first person look on it. Some modern day examples: vaccines are still commonplace in the modern world, and there's still a lot that's being learned from them. One example is fighting against malaria in early December of 2022 by taking some of the ability of it to replicate. It reduces the severity and transmission rates, and it's looking very promising, but still in research phases. Final thoughts: it's hard to it's hard to estimate how powerful these vaccines actually were, but reportedly 20 million lives were saved from it. And if the malaria virus goes through, it can stop nearly 240 million cases every year, and 600,000 or greater deaths. These are the works cited. I hope everyone had a good time reading or watching this. I wish everyone a good day, and I hope you're vaccinated. Goodbye, everyone. This has been Tyler Phelps.